Can Liverpool pick up on form against a team like Chelsea, or will they lose more points? We'll see. Hey everyone, it is Finn here, that is FYNN. I hope you guys are all doing super well, and in today's video I will be predicting every single fixture for Premier League match week 37, which, wow, I cannot believe we are on the second last match week of the season. We are almost done, but yet the table could look totally different by the end of the season, which makes my predictions so much more fun, and I can't wait to tell you them. And of course, if you do enjoy Premier League content, please do consider subscribing to this channel. I would really appreciate that. Thank you. Norwich versus Burnley will be our first game. Now, looking at the likes of Norwich, I do not think they stand a chance attacking wise whatsoever, especially versus the likes of Burnley, because as I've said many times this season, Burnley, when all their defenders and Nick Pope in the goalkeeper position work together and when they're all fit, they can be unstoppable. We've seen that many times this season, where if you look at the likes of Norwich's attack, 26 goals in their last 36 Premier League games. Not that impressive, and they only managed 2 shots versus the likes of Chelsea. So you know what, on any day I wouldn't say they have a good chance attacking wise, but against the likes of Burnley I don't think they stand a chance. Especially when you look at the likes that Burnley just drew 1-1 to the likes of Wolves. I mean, Wolves is a very good, very attacking team, so that's a very impressive result. So I will have to put down a 1-0 win in Burnley's favour. And in terms of a player to watch, in Burnley's previous game I did put Nick Pope as the player to watch, but I don't see it being Nick Pope this time around, purely because I don't even see Norwich getting that far. I don't see Norwich having that many chances versus Burnley, and I can't see the Burnley goalkeeper having that much to do. So I will put the likes of Tarkowski, the centre-back, in that position. He has had an incredible season for Burnley in that centre-back position. He's been there for all 14 Premier League clean sheets. He's gotten 173 recoveries this Premier League season and has won just under 190 aerial battles. He can be unstoppable, and I don't think he'll give Norwich a chance. Bournemouth versus Southampton is next. Now, looking at the last 9 meetings between these two teams, I think it will be very close, because in the last 9 meetings between these two teams, there have been 2 Bournemouth wins, 3 Southampton wins, and 4 draws. Now, Bournemouth have not had an incredible season. We can all agree on that. I expect them to be a mid-table team, and they've definitely underperformed, and they really do need to fix that for future seasons if they stay in the Premier League. But as of late, they have been fighting to stay in the Premier League, which I love to see. They've gotten huge results versus Tottenham Hotspurs and a huge result versus Leicester City. So Bournemouth, as I said, the fight is on. And looking at Southampton, I mean, as of late, they've also gotten some really good results. A draw versus Everton isn't bad for them. A draw versus Manchester United is really good. And of course, a win versus Manchester City. But in all fairness, Edison can't stick to his goal line the same way Maradona can stick to a line. But yes, at the end of the day, as I say, I think it will be a very close result between these two teams. But I think Southampton just have the slight edge on it, and I think Southampton can escape with a 1-0 win. As I said, it could be very close. Bournemouth are definitely not out of it. They've had a lot more fight in their most recent games. Even that 2-1 loss versus Manchester City, that is a very close loss to a very good team overall. They only had 22% possession in that game, which they probably would like to control a bit more than that. But with 22% possession, they had 13 shots at goal. So you know what? Bournemouth not completely out of it, but I'm still going for Southampton. And my player to watch in this fixture has to be Danny Ings. The Southampton striker has 20 Premier League goals. For a Southampton striker this season to have 20 Premier League goals is amazing. Tottenham Hotspurs versus Leicester is next. Now, this is going to be a very close fixture. Obviously, Harry Kane playing against his old club Leicester City, who he was on loan for at the time. Which, can you think about nowadays if Jamie Vardy and Harry Kane were strikers in the same team? That would be mental. But yes, in terms of a result, looking at Tottenham Hotspurs, I thought they were actually very impressive versus the likes of Newcastle. I think Hugo Lloris is a very good goalkeeper. Ben Davies is actually starting to step up, in my opinion. I think Harry Kane was extremely clinical versus the likes of Newcastle. We haven't seen that the entirety of this season. He hasn't been as good as he usually is this Premier League season. But in terms of him being clinical and doing what he needs to do, he did exactly that versus Newcastle. Heung-min Son was also impressive. And looking at the likes of, obviously, Leicester City in this fixture, they have only gotten 2 wins since they've returned to football. They've had a major dip in form. They have recently gotten a 2-0 win versus the likes of Sheffield United, though. So you know what, it genuinely really could go either way, but I am going to go for Tottenham Hotspurs with a 2-1 win in this fixture. And in terms of a player to watch, as I said, I think someone like Harry Kane could definitely be someone to watch. Son could be someone to watch. Bergwijn could be someone to watch. From Leicester City's side, I definitely think Jamie Vardy could be someone to watch. Over 20 Premier League goals for him. I think there definitely could be lots of goals in this fixture. But I actually think someone like Lo Celso could be the player to watch. He hasn't gotten any Premier League goals, only 1 assist, and it came in their most recent game for Spurs. But in terms of Lo Celso's work rate, when it comes to him tackling to get the ball back, when it comes to his recoveries, when it comes to his general passing, I think he contributes a lot to the Spurs team. Brighton versus Newcastle is next. Now I think this will be an extremely close fixture because looking at the last 7 games between these two teams, Brighton's gotten 2 wins, Newcastle's gotten 2 wins, and the other 3 obviously have been draws. So this could be extremely even. That is why I'm actually going to go for a 1-1 draw on this fixture. I don't see anything really separating these teams. Defensively, I don't think Brighton are that bad. They can be very strong when they want to. Obviously, I really back Matt Ryan in goal for Brighton, but I also really back the likes of Dubravka in goal for Newcastle. And in terms of a player to watch, now I do think it will be a Brighton player. It could be someone like Trossard. I initially thought it could definitely be someone like Trossard because he has picked up on form as the season has progressed. As I said, both of the team's goalkeepers are definitely eligible to be the player to watch, but I think it will be the top scorer for Brighton, Maupay. He has just gotten his 10th Premier League goal. He actually looks very, very good. He's been in great form lately, scored a beautiful goal versus the likes of Southampton, and I can definitely see him doing that against the likes of Newcastle. Sheffield United versus Everton is next. Now, in my opinion, this is another extremely close fixture. Looking at the likes of Sheffield United, they just got a 2-0 loss versus Leicester City. But bar that, they've gotten some amazing results lately against some really, really big teams. So this really could go either way. Looking at the likes of Everton, I think they will win the physical battle versus Sheffield United. But in my opinion, that might just be all that Everton has over the likes of Sheffield United. I think Sheffield United could potentially get a 1-0 win, just purely because they have been so impressive of late. Nothing bad against the likes of Everton. I think that they really have the ability to perform. They just got that equalizer versus Aston Villa though. It was almost cleared off the line. Obviously Calvert-Lewin missed the clear chance. So you know what, I think they do have to be slightly more clinical, but in terms of their attack, I think Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison, either one of them will probably be the player to watch in this fixture. I'm probably going to go for the likes of Richarlison just because he's been in better form and he's scored more goals since football has returned, but it easily could be Calvert-Lewin as well. Wolves versus Crystal Palace is next. Now this is another fixture that has potential to be extremely close. Looking at the last 3 fixtures between these two teams, it's been 1 win for Wolves, 1 draw, and 1 win for Crystal Palace. Once again, there are so many fixtures this match week that are just dead tight and that absolutely anything can happen. But looking at the likes of Wolves, they have actually been very impressive since the season has restarted. They recently got a 1-1 draw versus the likes of Burnley, which isn't a bad result. And looking at the likes of Crystal Palace, I mean, they've been in really bad form since they've restarted. 6 losses in a row, and to be 100% honest, Jordan Ayew probably would have been on side versus Manchester United if Aaron Wan-Bissaka didn't clip his toenails the night before. That was an extremely close goal. They definitely actually had their chances versus the likes of Manchester United. So you know what, there is still a lot of fight left in Crystal Palace, but just in terms of a winner, I do think it will be Wolves with a 2-0 win. As I said, very equal results in the last 3 fixtures between these two teams, but I do think that Wolves will get a comfortable win. And in terms of a player to watch, I do think it will be Wolves' main man, Jimenez, in the striker position. 17 goals this season and 6 assists. Absolutely amazing job, and I can see him getting another goal versus Crystal Palace. Watford versus Manchester City is next. Now guys, this is an absolute no-brainer for me. Without elaborating, I have to go for a 4-0 win in Manchester City's favour. You might say, how can I say that without even explaining myself? Well, now let me explain it to you. Looking at these two teams in the last 10 fixtures, Manchester City have won 10. No draws, no Watford wins, it's all just been Manchester City's favour. And in their last 3 games alone, just in their last 3, Watford have scored 1 goal versus City, and City have scored 17 goals in their last 3 games versus Watford. I can definitely see a result happening like this once again. The last game between these two teams, I think Watford lost 8-0 to Manchester City. So you know what, Manchester City definitely getting a win in this. And in terms of a player to watch, obviously I've given a huge win to the likes of Manchester City. I do think it will be a City player, obviously. It could definitely be either of the wingers, but I think it will be Gabriel Jesus in the striker position. Now that Aguero is injured, I'm not sure if he'll come back before the end of the season. I think Jesus has really stepped up in that striker position. Aston Villa versus Arsenal is next. Now looking at the likes of Aston Villa, I really do feel sorry for them because obviously they are fighting in a relegation battle and they almost got that win versus the likes of Everton. But obviously they conceded quite late on in the game. But at the end of the day, do I think Aston Villa stand a chance versus the likes of Arsenal? Not quite, in my opinion. Aston Villa they don't score enough. And looking versus the likes of Everton, to be 100% honest, I don't think McGinn played very well. He seemed to rush some chances. He seemed to be a bit reckless. And Jack Grealish, once again, wasn't quite hitting the mark. And looking at the likes of Arsenal, as I said, they've gotten some great results lately and obviously some bad ones, but they've just beat Liverpool 2-1. And I think that they really did capitalize on the fact that Liverpool obviously made some mistakes. I'm going to have to go for Arsenal with a 2-0 win over the likes of Aston Villa. I don't see Arsenal giving Aston Villa a chance. I thought they were very good versus the likes of Liverpool, and there's just so much pace behind this Arsenal team. And as I said, some great chances were created versus the likes of Liverpool. And in terms of a player to watch, I definitely think it could be someone like Lacazette. Obviously, he scored that goal versus the likes of Liverpool. He was very fast, he was very good, very clinical. And the game before that versus Tottenham Hotspurs, he scored probably one of the best goals I've seen from him in a very long time. So Lacazette is picking up on form, but once again, I have to go for the likes of Aubameyang. He definitely is a 20-goal-a-season striker. He can perform incredibly on his day, and I think versus the likes of Aston Villa, I think we could see a few goals from him. Manchester United versus West Ham is the second last game, which once again, guys, if you are enjoying my content, please do consider subscribing to this channel. But yes, looking at Manchester United versus Crystal Palace, look, it wasn't our best game, and obviously before that versus Southampton, that draw wasn't our best game either. Defensively, we do make quite a few mistakes, but you know what, I thought Lindelof did a pretty good job overall versus the likes of Crystal Palace. Almost gave away a penalty, but in my opinion it wasn't. He did get the ball. Harry Maguire had quite a few chances on goal even against Crystal Palace. And as I said, I don't take too much pain away from that game versus Southampton, that 2-2 draw. As I've said in previous videos, we've actually always struggled versus the likes of Southampton. Southampton's just always given us problems. Same with Crystal Palace in some respects, but you know what? Versus the likes of West Ham, there is definitely a possibility we could struggle. Our last 10 games versus West Ham, we've won 3, they've won 3, there's been 4 draws. So once again, a fixture that could be very close. But I will give a 3-1 win to United in this, purely just because West Ham are so low down on the table. Looking at both of them form-wise, I have to favour United. West Ham are actually in a relegation battle, but at the same time they have been scoring more. I think their form has picked up slightly. Antonio has been in absolutely great form. As I said, Fabianski, always a reliable goalkeeper at the back. So you know what, I have to give United a 3-1 win in this, although I do kind of like West Ham. The player to watch, in my opinion, I don't think will be Bruno Fernandes. I think it will be someone like Rashford, because Rashford has always performed well, in my opinion, versus the likes of West Ham. And I think against their defense especially, I think either Martial or Rashford will definitely shine. Liverpool versus Chelsea is my final game, which once again, if you have enjoyed, do subscribe please, it really does help me out. But you know what, as I said in the last Premier League match week, I originally had Arsenal winning, then I changed my mind. I've done the same thing here with Chelsea. Initially I had Chelsea winning this, then I swapped it so that Liverpool would win this. But wow, wouldn't it have looked amazing if I predicted Arsenal would have won and then they actually won. Oh well, we live and we learn, I guess. But looking at this Liverpool team, I do think they will get the win versus the likes of Chelsea. But at the same time, guys, this might sound very controversial, but the way Liverpool have ended the season off, I don't think you can count them as the greatest Premier League team of all time anymore. I genuinely thought they had a shot in it, but let's be honest, now that they can't even beat Manchester City's point record, there's nothing that separates them from the rest of the greats. They're not an invincible team, although they look like they could genuinely get a perfect season. They're not going to beat the point record, they've just lost way too many points. but I still think they will get a result versus the likes of Chelsea. But in all fairness, I do think the result was unfair in Chelsea's favour versus the likes of Norwich. If you just look at the scorecard, obviously Chelsea just won 1-0, but they definitely created a lot of chances. I thought Pulisic was absolutely brilliant, and that is why Pulisic is my player to watch for this fixture. Whether he'll get an assist or a goal, I definitely think he'll contribute, even though I do think Chelsea will lose. Olivier Giroud has been on fire lately, but yes, definitely I'm comparing this to almost Manchester City versus Liverpool. What Sterling did to Liverpool in order for Man City to win against Liverpool, that's the kind of play I am almost expecting from Pulisic. I think Pulisic can really tear down that Liverpool defense, but hey, let's see what happens. So again guys, if you have enjoyed my Premier League predictions, please do subscribe. I'd really appreciate this. At the end of the day, please tell me any comments you have about my predictions down below. Obviously, this is Finn, FYWN. Wow, only one Premier League match week prediction video left. I can't believe we have already reached the end of this series pretty much. But guys, I do love every single one of you, and I do appreciate every single one of you. Finn, FYWN. Cheers.